Kirk Frost. Kirk Frost. What will you pull out of your clown bag next? Now, as I've explained before on my channel, while I usually, in fact almost always, address pretty serious topics here on YouTube, I also, from time to time, like to delve into more lighthearted affairs. But the topic I want to discuss today is actually sort of a hybrid between the two. Because although the catalyst for the discussion is a ratchet reality TV show, which happens to be basically my favorite program on television at the moment, that's right, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, believe it or not. Even so, the subject matter itself is actually no laughing matter at all. I'm talking about the 7th season of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta and its continuation of the seemingly never-ending saga of Kirk Frost and Rasheeda's marriage. Now, as those of you who watch the show are already well aware, basically Rasheeda and Kirk's entire overall story arc throughout the course of the entire series so far has consisted of what is Kirk gonna do this season to betray, humiliate, and just completely screw over Rasheeda. What can he think of next to break Rasheeda's heart? Back on season 1, he mismanaged her career. On season 2, he continued to mismanage her career and subsequently cheated on her up in a cabin in the woods on a trip with his friends Benzino and Bobby Valentino. And then came back to town, going out to public events with these women, got caught red-handed by a friend of Rasheeda's, Tracy, who proceeded to spill all the tea to her. And when Rasheeda confronted him, he didn't seem that sorry about it on several occasions. Even when Rasheeda's friend Mimi tried to talk some sense into Kirk, he still didn't seem genuinely, sincerely apologetic.
I'm gonna smile because yes, I did have fun.
Eventually, they sort of worked things out, although Lord knows it took them long enough. On season 3, Kirk inexplicably harbored this bizarre suspicion that Rasheeda might have cheated on him. Now, when he cheated on her on season 2, he did it while she was pregnant with his child, the younger of their 2 sons, Carter. For some reason, he suspected that that baby might not have been his. On season 3, he continued with that ridiculous plotline, and even went behind Rasheeda's back to get a DNA test on their youngest son, only to find out that the child was in fact his. Surprise, surprise. She's never shown any sign of infidelity towards him. He's the one who stepped out on her. Later on season 3, Kirk threw a whole party, an apology party for Rasheeda. He bought her a heart-shaped locket to hang around her neck. He had a big banner outside of their house saying, "I'm sorry." He bought her a convertible, a drop top. It seemed for a while that he was getting his stuff together. On season 4, they had some more issues. She suspected he might have been cheating with an artist he had signed at the time, Ashley Nicole, who did plenty on her own to feed that suspicion. It turned out that she was actually into girls, so there was no concern there. The only season of the whole show so far where Kirk actually seemed to get along with Rasheeda and where their marriage actually seemed to be in a happy place was season 5. That's it. Season 6, we're hearing about more problems in the Frost household. Probably like most, if not all, fans of the show, the main plotline that I'm looking forward to seeing on this new 7th season is who's the daddy. That was one of the main plot lines from season 6, even though it was blown wide open in like the very first episode of the season. And although Kirk admitted belatedly to Rasheeda that he had cheated after some fine sleuthing work by Inspector Carly Red, he still spent the rest of the season, all the way up to the reunion, dragging his feet, delaying taking a paternity test to establish whether he was in fact this child's biological father or not. He maintained that he was not the father of the child, that he used protection when he smashed it. So why not take the test to prove that you are not the father of the child? Hell, go on Maury if you have to. What sense does it make to delay the inevitable? But Kirk was too simple-minded to see that. I'm telling you, the man is just a clown. He doesn't know how to deal with his wife, how to treat his wife properly. Maybe he's a genius when it comes to his business, the music industry, whatever, but when it comes to his marriage, the man is an imbecile. Kirk is the father of the child, and now Rasheeda is going to have to deal with this child in Kirk's life and in her life and in the lives of her children as a living, breathing reminder of Kirk's stupidity and infidelity and his disloyalty to her for the rest of her life. Nice going, Kirk. Along the way, Kirk has really treated Rasheeda like crap throughout the course of the whole series. And yet, even so, when I saw on the previews for season 6 last year that there was going to be another cheating scandal between the two of them, I was actually taken aback. I didn't think he'd screw up again the same way he screwed up before. Only this time he screwed up even worse because this time there's a side baby involved. He's not even a smart player. He has no idea how to cover his tracks properly. He doesn't even deserve player credit. Not that I believe in such a thing. I don't believe in player credit. I don't think that men deserve credit for lying to their women, treating them like trash. I don't believe in any of that. But I'll tell you what I do believe in. I think that a lifestyle and marriage option that a lot of these cheating ass, trifling ass, no good men on reality shows like Love and Hip Hop and all of their real world analogs out there who are not on TV, an option that they need to consider is polyamory. What is polyamory, you ask? I'm sure we've all heard of the concept or the phenomenon of open relationships, yes? Where the two people who are in the relationship, or perhaps the marriage, they actually agree up front that each of them is free, to some extent, depending on what they agree, to see other people, whether romantically, sexually, or both. Now, that's not for everyone. It may not be for most people, but it's definitely the right option for at least some people out there, especially men. Look at all the men in the Love and Hip Hop franchise alone who cheated on their significant others on camera, on national television. Not just Kirk, Stevie J, Young Jock, Peter Guns, Soulja Boy. What the hell? And then when you look at how many of these men are repeat offenders, I mean, look at that sordid 3 or 4 year plot line between Peter Guns and Tara and Amina Butterfly, where he kept both of these women on the hook, continuing to see both of them, lie to both of them, cheat on both of them, knock both of them up repeatedly, all on national television. I mean, come on. At some point, you as a man need to look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I even cut out for monogamy at all? Is this really for me? Should I even be in committed monogamous relationships in the first place? Clearly, men like Peter Guns and Young Jock and Stevie J have no business ever telling any woman that they're going to be faithful to them, because they're clearly just not capable of it.
Multiple women, never been loyal in any relationship.
Straight up. So do what Young Jock has been doing ever since season 5 of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Stop telling these women that you are going to be faithful to them. Stop lying to them. Just keep it real, up front. Know yourself, know what kind of person, what kind of man you really are, and just keep it real. You need to be free to have little extracurricular activities. So be honest with her about that as early on as possible, so that she has the chance to do some soul searching, give the offer some thought, and make up her own mind about whether she can bring herself to be in a polyamorous relationship. Now, over the past maybe 5 or 6 years or so, I've actually gotten to know no fewer than 4 polyamorous people. Interestingly enough, they were all women, not men. But out of the 4 women I knew who were in polyamorous relationships, 2 are married and 2 are not. One of the 2 married ones has no children, but she has a boyfriend along with her husband, and she introduced me to both of them. They're cool with each other. All 3 of them know each other. They're sometimes around each other all at the same time. While I'm sure they have their issues from time to time, some discomfort, whatever, they ultimately make it work. They get along with each other. Why? Because they all know what time it is, up front, from right out of the gate. They all keep it real with each other. The other young lady I know who is polyamorous, she's actually married with several lovely children. But she has a secondary, as they call it, and her husband has a secondary as well. And all of their friends and peers in their social circle know what's going on. All 4 of them know each other and get along with each other. They make it work. Why? Because they keep it real with each other. So if they can make it work, and these are women we're talking about here, why can't all these men do the same? Young Jock seems to have finally come to his senses after his years of screwing around with his, I think it's 8 kids by like 4 different baby mamas or something like that. He eventually came to his senses, and since season 5 on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, he's just been doing his own thing as a single, ready-to-mingle man, playing the fields, swinging bachelor. That's the way to do it, but he should have done it that way from the jump. Instead of marrying a woman, because he has an ex-wife, and then cheating on her with several other women, and then just cycling through these women, and instead of these women bizarrely entering into these relationships with a man who already has so many kids out of wedlock by so many different baby mamas even before he met you. I don't know what makes a woman think that she can somehow turn a man-ho into a house husband, so to speak. And don't give rise, furthermore, to all the drama that results from it that ends up being a pain in your ass. You know, don't give rise to the throwing of drinks and the snatching of weaves and the throwing of hands and all this nonsense that goes on, all this drama that pops off that these men then have to deal with as the fallout. I mean, think about it, Kirk. Did you enjoy it when Miss Charlene took it upon herself to run over your bike with her minivan and knock over your palm tree?
I'm not through with you!
What's your mama problem?
Let these women know up front that they cannot expect fidelity from you. You may be in a loving relationship with them. You may love them, but know that you can't get everything you need from just one woman. That is the true lesson of people like Kirk Frost. As for his marriage to Rasheeda, where they go from here is really up to her. He's made it clear he wants her back, just like he said he was so sorry after the first time he cheated. The first time that we know of. Rasheeda, I know I don't know you, I know you don't know me, But in case you see this video and you're inclined to take anyone's outside advice against all odds, let me tell you this. If you take that man back, at a minimum, you'll need to see a relationship counselor. And when you have those therapy sessions, you need to go through the details of Kirk's infidelity. He's done a lot of things over the years and said a lot of things that suggest he's not sincerely sorry about him cheating on you. He always has some lame-ass excuses. On season 2, when he cheated on you, he said it was because y'all had an argument and you told him, do you. He took that as a green light for him to go smash other women.
But he got a pass. Free pass. Yeah. Free pass. I took it.
Yeah, right, like that's what you really meant. He later on had the nerve to say in his green screen, in his confessional later that season, when you discussed the possibility of divorce with him, he had the nerve to say, I didn't do nothing that bad.
Now, I know I f***ed up. I know I did some things, but I mean, I ain't do nothing too bad.
Then, on season 6, a whole lot of tea was spilled by Jasmine. Kirk didn't just get drunk at a strip club one time and smash her out of the blue.
I was
You
drunk.
know what?
I made a
Be
mistake.
drunk.
He was running game on her. He told her he would take her out of the strip club, that he wasn't in love with you, Rasheeda, anymore, that he would pave her way and give her a career. That's what a man does when he's going out of his way to pursue a woman. It's not what happens when he just has a one-time momentary indiscretion due to alcohol. He can't blame that on the alcohol. Kirk moved Jasmine and the baby into the same apartment building where he had an apartment with you, Rasheeda. The two of them actually chose the baby Cannon's name together.
Me and Kirk made a list of names. Kirk is the one that chose Cannon out, not me.
And even spelled it with a K, the same letter with which all of Kirk's other children's names start. Kai, Carter, Kelsey, Cannon.
The baby's name is Cannon. K. Cannon.
Oh, Kirk is nice though, okay.
Why would you help the side chick choose the baby's name, and then on top of that, you choose a name that starts with the same letter that all your other kids' names start with? What the hell? Were you trying to get caught?
Hee-haw, hee-haw. You stupid motherfucker. Are you dumb?
Maybe you did it all for a plot line on the show, which would be pretty greasy. And of course, Kirk had a whole separate cell phone that you, Rasheeda, didn't know about, and that was the phone that he was using to communicate with Jazz. This man is just off his rocker.
He gaming her. He telling her, you who I want to be with. She falling for it. So he just moving around extra sloppy. Like he don't get no f***s about his relationship.
And given that this wasn't the first time he did it to you, given that there's a baby involved, given that he did all of these things on the side that suggest he didn't really respect your relationship or your marriage at all, I'm sorry. You have the best possible case for divorcing his ass. But I can understand if you don't want to go that far. Like you told Tammy Rivera on season 6, you can't just turn love off like a light switch. Maybe you just can't bring yourself to leave Kirk's dumb ass. Maybe you just don't know how to quit him. If that's the case, fine, stay with him. But if I were you, I would see a marriage counselor with this man and go over all of those details that I just enumerated. Don't let him get away with just throwing you an apology party and buying you some jewelry and a fancy car. That cannot fly this time. You already had the sense to throw away the jewelry and throw it in a fire on season 6. Good for you. Make sure he answers for all of those extra things he did on the side that make it clear he doesn't have the requisite respect for you or your marriage. And deal with those issues in therapy and make sure he comes clean. Make sure he cops to it. Make sure he owns up to it, because only then can you really deal with it. Because all of those things suggest it wasn't just a momentary indiscretion. This man went out of his way to step out on you for at least the second time. And then let's not forget Jasmine's girlfriend, who's in a polyamorous relationship with her and her man Rod Bullock, Kiana, another stripper. She says the same thing. She says Kirk was after her too. He smashed her as well, and he was running the same game on her that he ran on Jasmine, telling her, I don't really love my wife. I want to be with you. I'll take you out of the strip club. Everything. All of these things are issues you need to deal with Kirk. If, and only if, you choose to take his ass back. So please, Rasheeda, I beg you. You truly are a boss woman, a boss lady. You're an amazing woman. Inside and out. You're fly, you're smart, you're tough, you're fun to be around, you're cool, you're stylish as hell, you're gorgeous as hell. You are a 10. You're a perfect catch. It's not your fault you're married to a man who just cannot seem to appreciate you and who keeps on screwing up with you. So if you decide to take this cheating, sorry, trifling son of a bitch back, please, I beg you, at least make sure the man deals with his issues with you in therapy. There's no other way. It's either that or you cut his ass loose for good. And Kirk and all you other cheating ass, trifling, no good SOBs out there, heed my words. Consider polyamory. It seems to be the only way to go for most of y'all.